Akimbo has to be one of the strangest words in the language. It perplexes us in part because it appears to have no relatives. Furthermore, it is now almost a fossil term, though it is almost always found in arms. Akimbo is a stance in which a person stands with their hands on their hips and their elbows sharply bent outward, indicating impatience and animosity.
The next generation of industrial manufacturing leaders will create an ecosystem that leverages the promise of analytics and connectivity to optimize productivity for themselves and their clients. They will map out their strategies and prioritize the measures that will add the most value to their enterprise, beginning with pilot projects and creating higher strengths in data analytics through cross-functional collaboration.
Flags can and often do bring a nation together. A nation that can look to its flag flying high above the landscape in times of trouble and remind that the nation will survive. People who have never met before should feel a sense of belonging to the same country and flying the same flag.
A young man from a small provincial village, without independent wealth, influential family connections, or a university education, moved to London in the late 1580s and rose to prominence in a strikingly short period of time, thanks to the greatest playwright of all time. Shakespeare. How did he become Shakespeare?
According to data from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, borrowing for education has advanced faster in percentage terms than all other forms of consumer debt, including mortgages, auto loans, and credit cards, since 2003. Student loans accounted for 10.5% of a record $13.1 trillion in household debt as of the fourth quarter, up from 3.3% at the start of 2003.
Plato often explores the father-son relationship and whether a father's interest in his sons has anything to do with how well his sons turn out. A boy's social identity in ancient Athens was determined by his family identity, and Plato often refers to his characters in terms of their parental and fraternal relationships. Socrates was not a family man and considered himself as his mother's son.
Many college papers may require you to include quotes from one or more sources. Even if you are not required to do so, incorporating a few quotations into your writing will help to bring your arguments to life and make them more compelling. The key is to use quotations to support a point you're going to make rather than to fill space.
The universities of Europe experienced immense growth, competitiveness, and innovative research during the early modern era. At the end of the Middle Ages, approximately 400 years after the founding of the first European university, there were 29 universities scattered throughout Europe.
The primary production of soft drinks began in the 1830s, and since then, there has been an evolution until 1781, when the world's first cola-flavored beverage was introduced. These drinks were dubbed soft drinks to distinguish them from hard alcoholic beverages. Today, soft drinks are more popular as a refreshment drink than tea, coffee, juice, and so on.
The Bermuda Triangle is a fictional area of the Atlantic Ocean bordered by Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico where hundreds of ships and aircraft have vanished. Some of these occurrences are shrouded in mystery, such as one in which the pilots of a squadron of U.S. Navy bombers became disoriented while flying over the area. The aircraft were never discovered.
Domestication is a developmental, instead of a political improvement. It is certainly not an administration people forced on creatures about 50,000 years ago. Or maybe domestication happened when a little modest bunch of particularly deft species found through Darwinian trial and blunder that they were more likely to outlive and thrive in an organization together with people than by themselves.
Coconut oil, one of the most prevalent natural dandruff remedies, may help eliminate some of the yeast that contributes to flakes, according to Geeta Shah, MD, a dermatologist in Maryland. She suggests massaging a small amount onto your scalp for at least 15 to 20 minutes.
Road bike jumping is a cycle sport that teaches street bikers on clear streets. In terms of rivals, events, and spectators, street racing is the most popular professional frame of bike racing. The two most common competition types are mass start events, in which riders start at the same time and race to a predetermined finish line, and time trials, in which individual riders race to a predetermined finish line.
The Earth has just experienced the hottest month in recorded history, and it is much hotter than usual. The record comes after a string of unusually hot months. Not only does it break the all-time record set a year ago, but it also extends a now 10-month streak of months that are the hottest on record, according to NASA statistics. Temperatures are calculated slightly differently by the Atmospheric Administration.
Integration is becoming increasingly important in the business world. This requirement stems from the need for efficiency and synergy in a complex and turbulent environment. In other words, integration is required to promote coordination, which is linked to the creation of competitive advantage.
Liverpool University is located in the heart of two world-famous cities, Liverpool and London, and its excellence in teaching, learning and study, first-class facilities, and excellent support place it in the top 1% of universities globally. In a varied international community, the University of Liverpool will provide you with an inspiring student experience.
Most non-Japanese are familiar with traditional tea ceremony, including its history, complexities, and religious roots. However, few people outside of Japan have a thorough understanding of the practice's esoteric meaning. Even in Japan, the secret meaning of tea ceremony is only known to those who have dedicated their lives to the practice.
Smartphones are an everyday necessity for millions of people. We use them for everything from social media updates to banking. Getting a smartphone contract that bundles your calls, data, and texts with the cost of the handset will help spread the cost, but it can also mean you'll pay more in the long run.
Avalanche is a huge mass of snow, ice, soil, rock, or a combination of these materials that slides or falls in response to gravity's force. Avalanches, which are natural forms of erosion that are often seasonal, are typically categorized according to their content, such as a debris or snow avalanche.
Medusa, the longest reticulated python in captivity, lives in Kansas City, U.S., according to Guinness World Records. She stands 25 feet tall. Natish lists some species that are said to be longer than the reticulated python record. These include the Australian scrub python, the African rock python, and, perhaps most notably, the green anaconda.